if you make something and that thing is not a building, then this video is for you. Scottish Government published the manufacturing sector guidance towards close of play yesterday, and so I just want to pull out little bits from that to try and give you an overview of what it is about. I want to start just very briefly with the legal basis for this. So this is from the coronavirus regulations, and it says that a person who is responsible for carrying on a business must ensure that 2 meters is maintained between any persons on the premises, and ensure that they only admit people to the premises in sufficiently small numbers to make that possible. Same for people who are queuing to get in. So that's where this stuff begins and ends. That's what we're charged with implementing on site. How are we going to do it? Government says, and I agree with them for once, that we should carry out a risk assessment. So we need to look at the premises and the stuff that happens there and think about measures to make sure that people stay 2 meters apart. Obviously, that's going to vary depending on what the physical layout of the premises is and what you're doing there, but we need to go through that stage by stage and area by area of the business and come up with that document attached to the email to try and give you a head start, a template for doing that. Next thing we need to think about is workforce planning. So who comes back to work, when and in what capacity? Working from home to continue where possible. So if you don't need to come into work, even if you've been on furlough up to this point, office staff, if you could do what you do from a computer at home, then that is what you should be doing. That's what they should be doing. The other thing I want to pull out here is about health factors in the employees. So another document attached to the email here is for trying to get some level of risk assessment around the staff. What I'm talking about there is, do they have underlying health conditions, or does somebody in their household have underlying health conditions such that getting coronavirus would be really, really dangerous for them? Because we've got a legal duty to make sure that we consider them and consider their family members in deciding what they're going to do when they come back. So that might mean they come back with a different role. It might mean we have to do something different to their workstation. Hopefully that document is reasonably self-explanatory. Of course, it's not. Let me know. I'm sure you will. So we're talking about people who are in the vulnerable, clinically vulnerable or clinically extremely vulnerable categories. They probably know who they are, but that document does explain it. Just want to pull out a little bit here without getting too deep into HR. Workers who are shielding or who live with someone who's shielding should not be compelled to attend work, and companies need to make arrangements to ensure those staff are not disadvantaged due to obeying medical advice. Possibly quite an expensive statement, that, but a statement nonetheless. So we need to think about that and think about whether there's other roles that person could carry out that they could do from home, or other control measures for getting them into site because of the enhanced nature of their risk. So that's the second bit. And then the next bit that I wanted to pull out is this operational guidance. So what are we actually talking about? What do we actually need to do when we get to site? Well, we need to put these enhanced health and safety measures in place. We're talking here really about having the site looking physically different, signage, marking out the 2 meter separations, marking out the 2 meter separations between workstations or within the facility, however it is you need to do that, and making sure that there is hand hygiene around the place, so that on your way in, on your way between areas, you can wash your hands and you're instructed to do so, and that the physical distancing obviously is laid out in the way that it needs to be laid out. The last bit of this that I want to just briefly touch on is training and compliance. So the government's statement here is that we're expecting training processes to be in place around what we've just discussed. So obviously whatever it is that comes out of the risk assessment and comes out of the reorganising of the internal space has to be communicated back to the staff, otherwise it's worse than useless. Obviously there's various different ways you can do that. It could be face-to-face, albeit physically distant, or it could be on paper, it could be done by email or video, or a combination of all three, but we need to be robust in the way that we're delivering that advice and delivering that training to our staff. That's probably enough for that. I don't want to make this into a massive, huge monologue, but that's the sort of things we need to be thinking about. Does it apply to other sectors? No. Does it apply just now? No. When might it apply? Don't know. Later, not till phase 2. But it's certainly likely to be similar, I think, to the advice we're going to see for other sectors, including the construction sector, coming forward in the next hopefully couple of days. Hope that's helpful to you, and if you need any more help, give me a shout. Cheers.